Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming, and today, welcome to Dragon Age the Veilguard. With this release today, I wanted to spit out a useful video since I've been lucky enough to play the game a little early. This video though is essentially a pile of important things to do or just know in those opening hours of the game. Initially, you'll progress through, say, parts 1 to 4 in maybe the first 5 to 10 hours, and within that time, there's a lot of things you can miss or just, useful stuff to know as you go. I'll be avoiding any and all spoilers as I go, so with that said, let's begin. For the first topic, I just want to talk about explorable areas, secrets, hidden stuff. You will find that there's kind of an immediate main path on your minimap, which separates off into small areas, and very clearly there's secret stuff there. Here you'll find lots of golds, items, chests, and so on, but as you progress through the game, it gets a bit more, interesting. Secret areas can actually be behind breakable objects. You can break lots of stuff by attacking it, but the easiest way is to literally just roll into it, especially with the pile of boxes and so on. But very often, you'll find secrets under or behind them, but the minimap is generally a great tell for where secrets are going to be. For example, you could go near a chest and then not be able to get to it until sometime later. So a good tip for that is to open your map when you see these chests and then mark them. This kind of highlights or reveals its location through walls, helping you keep track of where that secret area is and kind of keeping it on your mind while you eventually might stumble on what gets you there, like climbing a hill and making a jump, finding a secret ladder, or whatever it is. Now, outside of that general explore and search those extra areas, here is a specific objective that rewards skill points, so they're unbelievably worth doing. And the first time I found one, I didn't realize what I was meant to do. These essential wolf statues exist throughout the game. They're not that common, but they will be found as you're going, say, through chapter 3. The first one you find then is in the crossroads. This is an area you'll probably return to many times, especially during chapter 4 as well. Following the main path, you will go by it, but how it works is you activate them and then you hear the sound of a wolf howling, as well as the direction of the statue changing and kind of pointing the direction you're meant to go. It's easy to miss this, but essentially you're meant to follow the sound until you spot this giant ghost wolf in probably a secret area, depending on the statue you're doing. When you make it to the wolf though, it will turn into an item that rewards 1 full skill point as though you leveled up, so they're extremely worth it. If you ever find one then, immediately do it, don't ignore it. It is well worth the time for the skill point. Next, let's talk about fast travel locations and beacons in general. Just be aware that once you interact with them or go by these beacons, it'll activate fast travel. To use them, you just open the map and teleport to the waypoint once you've unlocked them. But as you'll find once you're about part 4 in the story, you'll have a kind of main hub, the lighthouse, you'll have the crossroads, and different locations to quest and go to. So that's the point where activating every fast travel beacon you see is going to be well worth it later on. But beacons are more than fast travel locations. You can interact with them and swap your party mid-quest, mid-mission. Obviously, throughout the story, you'll find more and more members for your team, but the thing is, you can only have 2 active at one time, and some of them, depending on what quest you're doing, they have unique interactions. So you have a kind of engineer that's going to tinker with certain things. There's a mage that's able to deal with magical locks. Some of them will be automatically brought on missions, but you will find interactables and secret areas that you can't access because you brought the wrong allies at that time. So if you do find anything like that, like a secret area you can't get through because you brought the wrong ally, you can always fast travel back to a beacon and swap people in and out mid-mission. And then that could get you to that secret area or unlock the thing you can't interact with. Speaking of the Veil Jumper camp though, once you get there, you're also going to have your first faction interaction. Here you can interact with their merchant and buy things like weapons, armor, allied gear, trinkets, other materials. And as you'll find throughout the game, there's lots of cosmetics you can spend all your gold on. I wouldn't recommend it unless you find something you really want to, wear, but that gold can be very valuable to purchase items to equip, right? For example, at a merchant, you can actually take a weapon you have and upgrade it in this menu. It's pretty subtle. I almost didn't realize I'd done it. Spending, materials in exchange for gold to enhance its properties. Also, at any merchant, you can sell valuables in a second tab. This is the random junk you're going to collect while you're doing all that exploring. This stuff isn't worth anything until you sell it, but it's worth more than anything else you're going to find, leading to most of your gold and allowing you to purchase an upgrade. Also, as this is your first faction interaction, there are different factions and merchants for those. The more you interact with them, spend with them, work with them, the more your reputation goes up, and that unlocks new items available to sell or, purchase, as well as new upgrade options. So explore hard, as I've been saying. You'll find little areas, secrets, and puzzles, which will lead to a lot more valuables. Also, you'll find shortcuts this way, like kicking a ladder down for faster access in the future, like the one that's right here at the Veil Walker camp. Now, in regards to the hub, there's the Veil that you're going to find yourself in, and the lighthouse, as it were. Here, there is a pretty hidden secret called the music room. As you progress through the game and upgrade and change the actual lighthouse, new features become available and ultimately more secrets. But the first time you get there, there is the music room that's available. All you have to do is search around. There's lots of extra loot and there's no consequences for falling off here, so definitely jump around. But initially this secret, this puzzle, is basically 3 pairs of statues. You need to get 2 statues to face each other in their respective locations. Only 2 sets of them are hard. Look around, you find them. Some of them you face from pretty far away. And then there's the last one where there's 2 just like right next to each other, obviously. But this reveals the secret passage in the main meeting room or the table. It's like a circle wall that opens up to reveal the music room. This is just extra loot and flawless crystals for upgrading your gear. Also, once you're mid through chapter 3, you eventually come back to the hub here and the workshop will be available. This is what you're going to use to upgrade your gear and weapons and armor at any time. So you won't specifically need to, go to merchants to do that. But another way you can upgrade your gear is by finding a second copy of the same item. What it does is it raises the rarity level of it, increasing its potency, unlocking new skills as passives. It's really powerful. So for me, I bought a basic grey helm at the first merchant that I was actually able to interact with and buy a helm from. That was an empty slot, so it makes sense. Let me fill that slot, get some armor, maybe some passives. Later, I found the same helm in a chest though, and at first I was like, oh no, I've wasted my gold, but what it did is it took the second copy and kind of merged it with the original, taking the common white and turning it into a green with new stronger effects. So this is really good to know, I think, because it makes buying items more reliable and safe to do because they can upgrade. This is how I achieved my first blue item in the first few hours of play. Speaking of merchants and extra items though, at the start of the 2 story missions, one in Docktown for example, when you're in chapter 4, there's 2 that's based on different backstories. One is a specific NPC and the other's based on yours. In each of these locations, you'll go through a market, meaning multiple merchants. Early on, you actually have very few trinket slots actually filled, so buying an amulet or a second ring, filling these slots is really important early because it's a fast and very effective way to get an impactful source of power. Passives from these will help build up stagger faster or increase your different damage sources. They're huge. So if you have an empty slot, it's well worth buying. A funny thing that I've experienced is also where you miss something that's kind of an obvious reward. Sometimes when you're completing a task, you'll have a hidden door open, or like an extra blight will be there that you can pop and there'll be an item inside, like weapon upgrades or amulets such as this one. It is important not to miss these. For example, when you're in the whole crossroads area and you're doing the quest line into the crossroads, one part of that is to open a main gate after facing a mini boss. Here, while you're up on the wall, a little gated room will open that has nothing to do with the main objective and you can easily miss. And in my case, it had my first amulet within, which is a big deal. So if you do like an objective, also just take a look around to see if there's something you can open, pop, or something's been revealed. They do it in a pretty subtle way. Alright, for the last topic of something that I think is useful to know, just a bunch of combat tips really quickly. To start with, you actually have a lot of options. There's a light attack that leads into a light attack combo. There's a heavy attack combo. Both of these can actually be held immediately. So if you hold light, you get a unique attack combo. Or if you hold heavy, another one. In the case of Rogue, you can combo a charged light into a tap light. So you charge this dash forward, leap up, and then tap to slam down. Now, you do have ranged options with each class as well. With a controller, when you hold R2, say you're a rogue or maybe you're a warrior, you throw your shield, you fire your bow. Headshots with these deal more damage. The thing is, there's this passive system called the barrier system. These are enemies that have fast regenning health if you leave them alone, and normal damage usually doesn't do much to a barrier. But when you use these special ranged attacks, you break through barriers way quicker, especially if you headshot. So it's a pretty important thing. Speaking of heavy attacks, that's great for breaking through the armor system. Enemies with yellow health instead have armor that needs heavy attacks or special abilities to break through, exposing them where you can now deal more damage to them. So using heavies or charged heavies is a great way to deal with those guys. From the start though, you also have running attacks. There's a unique running attack for a running light or a unique attack for running heavy. And the same thing for jump attacks. You can immediately jump and then do a light or jump and then do a heavy. Also unique options. For a bit better evading, you can obviously evade with say circle on a controller, but if you double tap that, you do a special leap, great for closing distances or making bigger distances. And eventually you'll also unlock the stagger system, which basically you build up by doing damage, especially counters, and you just press a right stick in to critically hit someone that's fully staggered. The awesome thing about the stagger system is it's also got a knockback to it. So even if you don't kill the big target with the stagger, you do send them flying through other enemies, or more importantly, off cliff edges where they will instantly die. Even massive, super strong enemies can be knocked straight off the map, and this can be a great way to control the situation if there's gravity available. But yeah, that's just a list of useful things to know going through. I hope this was useful to you. If you guys have any extra tips that might help new players, let us know in the comments. But until next time then, I've been Hollow, you've been you, and thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.